everyone. My name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space for all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Monday. We actually just dropped a thought piece this past Monday, so definitely be sure to meander over to our website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you're looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available wherever podcasts are playing, and we provided you with access to a few links down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. I'm not that great at growth strategy, but if you find a value add, then most certainly join the conversation. Be a game changer. Let's get into it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today's topic of discussion is mental health. And the conversation on mental health, I want to talk about societal pressure, social pressure, and how we are conditioned to deal with it, and how that can sometimes have a negative impact on our mental health if we don't break away from those norms. And so my norms are definitely gender specific. So I'm going to talk about the norms that I had to outgrow, that I had to really question and challenge to be able to manage my time in alignment with what I wanted and where I wanted my energy to go without feeling apologetic. And so I'm going to talk about the top 3 areas that I feel like we're socialized to behave in and to engage in that can be really detrimental, that can create a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety unnecessarily. We just think about like why it is the case that we're socialized to be this way and how we kind of dismantling those expectations that we have on ourselves based on this socializing can be very liberating. And so the first one is being apologetic. People call it a Canadian condition, but I find it everywhere that like whenever it is the case that you're declining or you want to put your energy elsewhere, you don't want to do something, like you have to be apologetic about it. But oftentimes like you're not apologetic about it, right? But because you feel this guilt or this discomfort with letting someone down, because we've been socialized to always meet the expectations of others, you feel really apologetic. And sometimes in feeling even a little bit apologetic, you make room for social pressure, for anger, for hostility, for conflict, because you simply wanted to put your energy elsewhere. And so this is something that I realized like very early on in my life, that I needed to be unapologetic about where it was that I wanted to put my time. And so this first started in university, because in university, like every night there was a party to go to. And when I decided that I wanted to work full-time or go into university full-time, I started to learn like really the art and science of time management. And there are certain things, though I could fit them in, like it just would be something that I would pay for 3 days later. And we talk about that party effect, like it took you 3 days to kind of recover from a party. But for me, like not only did I need to be alert, a focus for school and for the deliverables that I was providing for my schoolwork, I also needed to do that because I was entering my first professional job that I took really seriously. And because of that juxtaposition, because I was in a very different life stage than most of my peers who were just focused on being students, I had to say no to things that made them upset. And I learned very early on, luckily for me, that it's okay if people get upset, because if they don't feel inclined to be considerate of my situation and recognize how my situation is different, if they want me to overextend myself and they see that that's what I'm positioning. And a lot of the times I'd be like, listen, like I have work, like the work that I'm doing is like a full work day of a professional, and then I'm having school, so like I really can't fit this in. Even if I have the time available, like I need that time to rest. And that is like one of the taboo things, like telling people no, not because you have a different plan, but because you wanted to just take time for yourself. And so I learned that I just needed to be unapologetic about it. And if I was unapologetic about it, then it made no room for conflict, for argument, for friction, and for social pressure. Because a lot of the times when I would say no, like it was never just taken, it was never just respected. There was pressure, there was challenge as to like where I should be putting my time and what it meant if I did or didn't put my time in a certain place. And oftentimes it didn't mean the same things to them as it meant for me. And I think that in learning that, I dismantled a lot of the societal expectations just out of necessity, really, because I had just so little time available to myself that I didn't need to satisfy other people's expectations. And on top of that, I didn't need to be apologetic about the fact that I didn't feel inclined to satisfy other people's expectations. My time is my time. It goes where I want it to go. And so that was the first one. And I don't know if it felt more or less of a hurdle to overcome because I'm a woman. I don't know. I think that's something that you guys can let me know if you find the same societal pressure for you. But I'm really happy that because I decided to work full time and go to school full time, that it gave me the opportunity to really be conscientious about my time management strategy and recognize also that I needed to carve in time for myself, which I talk about a lot on this platform, because a lot of the times we don't consider or we don't prioritize the time that we need for ourselves, but we need to have time to re-energize, to kind of pour back into ourselves as part of our time and energy management strategy. So that's the first one that I find like was super beneficial to my mental health and to my state of well-being as well, just being unapologetic about where I didn't want to put my time. And so another one that I thought was really helpful, and again, I don't know if this is just like social conditioning because of the environment that I was raised in, but disagreeability. And so disagreeability in conversation. So let's say you and I are having a conversation, you believe A, I believe B. I've been socialized to just pretend to agree. And I recognize, even as a young child, I would get punished quite a bit for being very adamant about my position and about whether or not I agreed or disagreed. And there was sort of this age authority, like if someone's older than me and they believed a certain thing, that I just needed to agree with them because they were older than me. And I realized like age doesn't have anything to do with like certain values, certain beliefs that I had, that I felt very, very strong in, regardless of what the people around me, the elders around me were saying. There was a lot, I think there was a lot of effort put into me becoming agreeable against my better judgment. And I'm so happy that I didn't concede and I didn't develop that skill set. And sometimes like if I know I'm not going to engage, if I know that like this conversation really, I'm not going to invest in it whatsoever, then I will be agreeable. But like I know that if it really comes down to like a value system or a belief system, or you know, there's something that I fundamentally believe in, I'm not going to agree and to keep the peace. I'm not going to agree just to kind of keep societal norms kind of like hush hush to the most authoritative person in the room. And I was raised in environments where like, there was a person who was in a position of authority in the room and they said something, then you just kind of toe to it. And I didn't do that, and I got a lot of punishment for that. And I think that a lot of us receive punishment if we vocally and explicitly disagreed with someone who's in a position of authority. And it creates this blind sort of followship, like this almost like sheep mentality, where just because someone's in a position of authority, like their word is holy grail. And there's a lot of people who are in positions of authority who are still figuring themselves out, like you and I are figuring themselves out. Their word is not law. So I think it's really important that we recognize that authority is something that it can be formal, it can be put in place, and of course navigate around that accordingly, but you don't need to change who you are and conform to their points of view because of their position of authority. You can maintain your individuality in spaces where authority is present. And I just have never agreed with the idea that just because an authority figure is present, I have to erase myself and erase who I am for this person to maintain their sense of authority, for me to feed into their ego. And I find that has been very liberating for my mental health, like not feeling the need to concede and to bend and to conform to the ideals of the most authoritative person in the room. And I think that that's something that would be a benefit to you if you think a little bit about like to what extent do you do that, and to what extent are you sort of betraying yourself is maybe too strong of a word, but like speaking words that are not in line with what you believe as a result of you just trying to kind of toe to the norm of like pacifying the authority figure in the room. I think it's important that we challenge one another's beliefs. We do it amicably, we do it diplomatically, but if we can agree to disagree, if we're having conversations with people who are looking to think and to think critically about their positions and are open and to being persuaded about seeing something different. And even if they don't end up being convinced, like it's not this end all be all because I disagreed with you and had a different point of view. And last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about expectations, about these traditional milestones. And I find that there's a lot of anger, a lot of resentment that comes when you break from the mold, when you blaze your own path. And I think that a lot of it comes from people who would love to do the same but don't have the courage to do it. And so what they do is they beat up on the people who do have the courage to do it. And I am someone who likes to set my own goals, drive towards my own personal vision, regardless of whether it aligns to convention or not. And it's very interesting just how many people have a point of view, have an opinion on you blazing your own path because they think that it's not rational, because they think that it's not something that is going to be feasible, that is not something that's going to be realistic. I mean, you pick the word and they have said it. And for me, it's like, if this is my life and if these are the things that I want to do with my energy, with my time, like why does anyone else think that they have a point of view that could sway me? And as much as I feel that way, it doesn't change the fact that a lot of people will have conversations, full-on conversations, criticizing anyone who breaks from the mold. And I have mentioned this a few times on my channel. There's this one individual that I spoke to who is from Mexico, and he told me that there's this Mexican saying that says, the nail that sticks out gets the hammer. And I think that a lot of the times when you break from convention, when you embrace your individuality and really focus on alignment, and that alignment in and of itself takes you off the beaten path, it is something that people notice. And because they notice it, they talk about it. And I think that oftentimes I would feel so irritated and so just annoyed by the attention that I got from just doing my own thing. But I'm hoping now, like in retrospect, like with the attention that garnered, that it gave some people who maybe weren't super vocal or maybe were, like the courage or at least the seed to do the same. Because it's one thing to criticize someone for doing something that you don't have the courage yourself to do, but I think that oftentimes it is in seeing them do it and push through those barriers that maybe might give you the courage to do the same. And so rather than now be irritated or upset by the conversation that my actions garnish by me like blazing my own path and the attention that sometimes attracts, I recognize that maybe hopefully me living my best life, doing things my own way, making mistakes loudly, proudly, visibly, publicly will give other people the courage, the bravery to do the same and to do it unapologetically. In any case, those are the topics of conversation for today, some food for thought for you. I wanted to come in here and talk about like just some social constraints that we can break free from that can give us the opportunity to find alignment, to find that inner liberation, and to push forward towards growth and evolution. So if you are interested in self-mastery, this is something that we would want to have further conversations in, and then we do have live events. I do have that calendar posted on my website, so definitely be sure to check those out. And I will be posting the calendar for 2025 shortly, so definitely some fun for all of us to partake in if you want to join our community and have these conversations and figure out what self-discovery looks like and how self-mastery translates in pursuit of it. In any case, that was it, but definitely not all. Thank you so much again for tuning in. And as it relates to my stalking situation, no information for you as yet, but once I know, you will know too. Thanks so much again. We'll talk to you later.